One of my favorite parts of Super Mario Galaxy is the wide variety of missions that can be tackled across all 121 stars. From the main galaxies to the smaller galaxies to the boss battles and trial galaxies, there's a huge amount of fun to be had across the whole game. But today, I'll be focusing on the main galaxies, more specifically the Prankster Comets, or even more specifically the Purple Comets, as there's one to be found in every main galaxy after defeating Bowser for the third and final time. Each Purple Coin mission in the game is unique and all provide a different challenge, even despite some of their similarities. But it's clear that they aren't all created equally when it comes to difficulty. So that's what I'll be focusing on today, and I'm here to rank each of the Purple Comet missions from the easiest to the hardest. Before I get into this ranking, however, I'd like to establish a couple rules. I'll only be listing the Purple Coin missions from each of the 15 main galaxies. Technically there are 17 of these missions, however I will not be including the Star Festival or Gateway's Purple Coins, as they seem to be a bit out of the range of the other missions in the game, and they also don't have a comet associated with them. In addition, this is entirely my own opinion, and my opinion is likely not going to be the same as yours. Just a fair warning, expect a little bit of controversy. With all of that said, let's get started. My name is Phoenix, and this is all Purple Comet missions in Super Mario Galaxy ranked from easiest to hardest. Let's go. This should come as no surprise to anyone, but kicking this list off at number 15 is Purple Coin Omelete. Good Egg Galaxy, being the place you first go to after the first Grand Star, didn't contain any missions that are any sort of difficult, and the Purple Comet is no exception. Omelete, some people could even say, is the introductory Purple Comet, and while that may be a stretch considering that Gateway could also be called that, there's no denying that Omelete is by far the easiest Purple Comet in the game. This mission takes you across 3 planets, with in total 40 purple coins to be collected on the ground. However, every Purple Comet mission requires you to collect 100 purple coins, and the remaining 60 are conveniently placed on the launch star pads in between the planets. If you know what to do, you can easily finish the star in just over a minute in just one pass around the Astral Archipelago. It's a nice way to ease you into the Purple Comets since this is the first one, and it sets you up in a segment of the game that can at least provide a decent challenge, but one that you won't see until after this. At number 14, we have Purple Coin Spacewalk. Space Junk Galaxy's Purple Comet is the first one that puts you under a time limit. You'll have 2 minutes to collect all 100 coins on the self-constructed walkway, then make your way back to the start to grab your prize. This spacewalk will arrange the path when you get close, and all of the purple coins are in groups of 10 on larger platforms. So the main challenge of this star is simply making your own route that gets you to each group of coins and back to start safely. The time limit itself isn't much of an issue since people with enough experience should be able to get every coin and the star in around half the time provided. The only thing that can trip some people up, myself included, is making a diagonal jump and missing. With no ground underneath, meaning no shadow to use for reference, sometimes it can be tough to figure out your position. Despite that, this is still a very simple mission that only serves as a minor test of platforming. Beach Bowl Galaxy is certainly a place for the vacation trip, but beachcombing for purple coins doesn't serve to be that tricky a mission. This mission has you navigate the beach bowl to collect the coins, and what makes this easier than all other missions of this nature is the fact that nearly every coin is out in the open and within your reach. Coins are located on the cliffs, on trees, this unnecessarily fun vine swing, but there are also a few in the water and a couple in some cryptic places. This one coin tucked in the corner here is exactly what I mean by that. This mission also provides you a spring mushroom for you to grab some of the coins, but I tried to go without it to see how many I could grab. Interestingly enough, there was only one single coin that actually required me to use the spring mushroom. All other coins were within a triple jump's reach, so that takes some of the difficulty down, since I know how infamous the spring mushroom is. In a whole, this is one of the easier missions because of how open a space you have, in addition to little to no risk of falling to your death or into any other hazards. Now this may come up as a bit of controversy, but Deep Dark Galaxy had a pretty easy Purple Comet, despite being one of the last galaxies in the game. Plunder the Purple Coins may not be the most fun Purple Comet due to the abundance of coins in the water, but it still isn't that bad. Beachcombing placed only 7 coins total in the water, but Plunder has a whopping 41 coins placed in or on the surface of the water. In addition to this, there are also coins placed on top of the cliffs to the left of where you start, and many more coins on the ship itself. A few coins are in some pretty clever locations, such as these 2 underneath the crow's nest. Also, don't be distracted by these crates. None of the coins appear there, and they run the risk of you releasing a boo that'll follow you around until you lead it into the light. Despite all of this, I'm honestly surprised that a garden level would make it this low on the list, but it's understandable when you realize the only hazard is drowning. Now this may be a hot take, no pun intended, but Red Hot Purple Coins was, like Plunder, much easier than I expected it would be. Melting Molten Galaxy's Purple Comet is arguably one of the most hazardous, however, the hazards, being lava and hot gases, aren't that hard to avoid if you take your time. Out of all of the purple coin missions that place you on a single planet with no time limit, this one I found to be the shortest. What puts this one higher on the list than Plunder, though, is just how many more hazards there are in Melting Molten compared to Deep Dark. And on top of that, some coins are in some more cryptic and dangerous locations, such as underneath the sinking platforms or inside the volcano. In addition, you'll need to look hard to find some of them, as either you could walk right past them, like I did when replaying, but there's also this pocket to the side which isn't usually the path that people take to get to the top. Some people may find this one harder, but I think that 11th place is an appropriate place for this mission. Coming in at number 10 is Purple Coins on the Battlerock. Battlerock Galaxy's Purple Comet has a unique mission only shared by one other galaxy, where you're placed on a platform that scrolls through an obstacle course, and you'll need to collect every coin on the way to the end. This mission itself isn't too bad, except for one critical detail. Leaving a single coin behind on the way to the end will see this metalhead quite literally shame you to death. We already hate this guy because of the garbage dump missions, we don't need him to actually kill us. Not to mention, collecting all of the coins on both sides of this coin-shaped platform can actually throw you off a bit, especially when trying to move in a circle for that one group of coins under the platform. Screen flipping can mess with your head in bizarre ways sometimes, but walking in a circle while trying not to miss a coin while you're upside down can be a bit trippy. Not to mention, you'll have to navigate through electric fences and a barrage of cannons from both angles. Thankfully, the platform does move pretty slowly, so there's usually plenty of time to correct any mistake should you make one. Still though, this guy. I hate this guy. I'm going to be honest, I wasn't a huge fan of Gold Leaf Galaxy, but Purple Coins in the Woods was one of the missions I liked from this area. This mission is probably the one that most tests your platforming capability out of the whole list, as it puts you on a platforming obstacle course not unlike when you scaled up as B Mario, and you have 3.5 minutes to scale all of it, collecting every coin along the way. And I mean every coin, as the honey soldiers will position themselves along the path to remind you on how many coins you should have by the time you reach them. Ultimately, there are two major points of interest with this mission. First, don't be an idiot like me and underestimate how far away the first block is. It's a long jump, not a normal jump. And second, just like Battlerock, don't leave a single coin behind. Missing a coin isn't an automatic too bad in this mission, but backtracking to pick up any coins you miss will waste a lot of time, if even possible at all, because I'm pretty sure you can't jump over this tall fence at the end. Certainly not the most difficult, but in my opinion, one of the most fun. At number 8, we have Purple Coins by the Seaside. Seaside Galaxy's Purple Comet may not be the most dangerous, but it is by a significant margin the longest and very likely the most tedious, even more so than Plunder or Summit. You'll need to grab a bee mushroom and make your way all the way around the seaside to collect all 100 coins, and unlike beachcombing, you can't work around the bee mushroom. I could have put this much lower on the list, but the sheer length of the mission puts it higher. It takes around 10 to 15 minutes to get all the way around the seaside and collect every coin, and even after that, the star spawns on the other side of the entire map. So that's another 2 to 4 minutes spent after getting the last coin just to reach the star. And the final nail in the coffin is the fact that B Mario doesn't control perfectly, so there may be a clutch landing or two for some of the jumps. Overall, not very dangerous, but extremely tedious. At number 7, we have Purple Coins in the Bone Pen. This is one of 2 missions on this list that may result in some backlash from the community, since this is by far the fastest Purple Coin mission in the game, but after Poltergeist, people should have known that Ghostly Galaxy wasn't going to play around anymore. You're given only a single minute and have to navigate your way through this pen of bones using only pole stars to collect 100 of the 149 purple coins. With such a short time limit, this mission seems a lot more daunting than it actually is, but there are some things to help you out. First, you'll most likely grab the life up mushroom, so don't be afraid to take a hit from the bombs, as sometimes you can use that to your advantage. And second, you don't have to grab every single coin, so picking a route that you can move through efficiently will be a key factor, and likely the difference between success and failure. You have the whole bone pen to work with, so this mission can be a playground for the most adventurous players. People may rank Purple Coins on the Summit as a top 3 hardest Purple Coin mission, but I think that it falls just short of my top 5. Freeze Flame Galaxy's Purple Comet gives you a lot of freeze, but not a lot of flame, as it puts you on Baron Burr's Mountain and you'll need to navigate quite a lot of the terrain, from the base, to the middle, to Baron's Arena, and even where the Secret Star is located at the top of the summit. But this time, you have what I'd consider one of my least favorite kinds of hazards to worry about, and that is freezing water. It'll damage you if you spend too long in it, and is surprisingly not easy to jump out of sometimes. And to make matters worse, some coins are in really inconvenient spots, some of which requiring ice fall or triple jumps to reach. Not to mention, you can't gain height by spinning as Ice Mario, so you'll have to wait for it to wear off to grab this one coin above the spire, and that'll lead to a really dodgy jump to get back to dry land. If you know where to look and how to get around, this star isn't too bad, but I can understand why some others find this more difficult. Oh boy, do I have a story to tell about Gusty Gardens, Purple Comet. Purple Coins on the puzzle cube was actually almost done on my first try, back when I first played through the whole game about 6 years ago. Yeah, I was quite a bit late. But anyway, when I did this mission, I came close to beating it on my first try. But maybe I hit one too many Goombas, or stalled just a bit too long, because I had collected all 100 purple coins and long jumped towards the star to finish the level. But I was inches, nay centimeters away, a single frame, and then the time ran out. And I apologize if the footage you're watching doesn't correspond to what I'm saying, because I genuinely don't think I could recreate that fail again if I tried. Crushing defeat aside, coming back to this mission years later, it still proved to be pretty tricky, as you have 2.5 minutes to grab 100 coins scattered across all 6 faces of the puzzle cube. And some faces are more favorable to traverse than others, since they have more coins and/or coins more in your reach. Also, the timer may seem generous, but you don't realize how many coins you still have left to snag until you're down to only 1 minute. And this place is absolutely crawling with Goombas, and unlike Bone Pen, getting hit can't be used to your advantage, but rather slow you down, which, like I learned the hard way on my first attempt at this, could be a drastic difference between success and failure. Honestly, Puzzle Cube seems like a good name for this mission, since sometimes it can be a puzzle to figure out the ideal path. I don't know why, but Honeyhive's Purple Comet gave me even more trouble than most Purple Comets of this nature. For being the second galaxy in the game, the Honeyhive's Purple Coins was surprisingly tricky, but for all the wrong reasons. This is where we get to the Purple Comets that really start to give me trouble. First of all, let's talk about that giant gaping hole in the middle of the planet. And of course, waiting inside that hole, or I guess if you fall off the other edges, is a black hole. Not to mention, just like with Summit, getting around can be tricky, especially since there's no bee mushroom here. Not to mention, a lot of coins can be tricky to find, as they're deliberately placed in areas that you'd never go to in the standard missions. Making matters worse is the relatively scary places that a couple of them are in, and to make matters even worse, this area behind the honeycomb fence can sometimes be a hassle to get to, meaning that if you need to backtrack, which isn't uncommon, it can take an extra minute or two to collect all of the coins. But the biggest problem is the friggin' camera. Not only does it not want to sit still, but sometimes it shifts when you really don't want it to, and again, giant hole in the middle. Just like Summit, I can understand how people could rank this lower, but just like Puzzle Cube, coming back to this mission years later didn't make it any easier. Hard to think we still have 3 more to go. If Battlerock Galaxy introduced you to scrolling purple coin missions, then Dreadnought Galaxy brings the scrolling stages back, but with a vengeance. Battle Station's purple coins was always the outlier when it came to the difficulty of the Garden Galaxies, since I found this significantly more difficult than Plunder or Red Hot. First things first, there are way more hazards in Battlerock. More cannons, more electric fences, mines, and even a thwomp halfway through. These hazards really begin to grate on you when you notice that your platform isn't double-sided this time. If a cannon hits you or you run into a fence, you could fall off of the platform and to your death. And just like Battlerock, you cannot miss a single coin on your way to the end. Missing even one will see the revenge of Cranky Garbage Robot as he once again makes you die of shame. Only this time, you'll be wandering on all sorts of angles, and there's little room for a breather as standing on a platform for too long after it stops moving will have you fall with it. So we're going right side up, upside down, and even sideways to collect everything, and the screen flipping can still be an issue when walking forward or back. But then you get to the end and realize you only have 99 coins, so what now? Well, the last one is on the launch star path to the finish. Keyword, launch star. Whatever you do, absolutely do not take that sling star down there. Sure, most people won't notice it, but this sling star in particular is a death trap. If you take this sling star, you'll completely miss the last purple coin, essentially forfeiting the entire level. You've worked too hard to get this far. Don't throw it away just like that. Of all of the main galaxies in this game, they varied wildly in enjoyment level. Some were lots of fun, some were just okay, and then there was some that didn't resonate with me at all. I don't think it's much of a stretch to say that Dusty Dune Galaxy is my least favorite of the main 15, and considering how much deserts can vary wildly in quality, this one comes off as a no for me. And purple coins in the desert only serves to push me a bit farther away from this sandy wasteland. First off, every bit of solid ground is not only slightly safe at best and dangerously cramped at worst, but it's all surrounded by instant death quicksand. Theoretically, it's possible to escape, but the platforms are raised a bit too high to recover if you fall in. Second, there's a huge abundance of coins in really scary locations, most of which over said quicksand, requiring you to use these twisters to get them. Ah yes, that's exactly how arms work. While doing this though, you'll fall faster than you think, so sometimes you just barely undershoot a coin in the air, or worse, the ground. And that's not the end of it. dry bones pester you, and these last two twisters have sharp rocks circling them, which could possibly knock you into the quicksand, if not just beat you up completely. If anything, you can't afford to rush here, except you kinda have to when you get to the last 5 coins. You'll need to ground pound this button to push the platforms to the other side of the coin, and then hot-foot it all the way to the end to grab the last 5 coins, which are placed too far above you to reach you by a triple jump. I'm honestly surprised I don't hear people talk about this mission at all. Maybe they don't find it as hard as I do, but I'd be lying to both myself and all of you if I said I wasn't on the edge of my seat every time I played this, making this without question the hardest purple comet in the game, without a time limit. By process of elimination, you should all know that the hardest purple comet in this game comes from Toy Time Galaxy. Luigi's Purple Coins is comfortably the most difficult purple comet in the game, and for good reason. First of all, you only have 3 minutes, which is admittedly very generous. But then there's the layout. The entire place is made up of disappearing platforms, rotating platforms, and an instant death poison swamp. Falling into any hazard will very likely instantly kill you, which discourages you from retracing your steps at all. But making matters worse is the fact that all the coins are decently spread out, so it may take a minute or two just to collect them all, especially considering these coins just hanging over the edge. And just like Honeyhive, there's a super janky camera that, while not giving me too much grief, has caused a lot of others to trip up. And don't think I haven't made my share of mistakes either. There have been plenty of times where I fall through a rotating platform, miss my spin and leave coins behind, or miss my long jump and fall to my death or in the poison. Luigi's Purple Coins rightfully deserves to be the toughest purple coin mission, and even though there are 1 or 2 levels in this game that I struggle with more, no doubt that this is famously one of the hardest levels across both Galaxy games. Well, that certainly was a fun list to put together. I've never seen anyone talk about just the purple comets, so I thought I'd take advantage of that for what ended up being my first ever countdown on this channel. I wanted to come back strong, and so I felt this was a great time and topic to do so. And on that note, I sincerely want to apologize for my recent absence. I took a break from making and uploading videos because I wasn't in the best headspace, and then that break went from 1 month to 2, and then to nearly 6. But now I'm working to get back into making these videos for you guys, and to hopefully stay strong in my comeback. My next video will be covering another platforming that I love, with a countdown that I strangely haven't seen done yet. Next time, I'll be counting down the top 10 hardest A Hat in Time timepieces, and that list should also be pretty fun. So if you don't want to miss that when it eventually comes out, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications so you can watch it as it goes up. And if you enjoyed this, be sure to leave a like, and if you have a difference of opinion, be sure to leave it in a nice way in the comments below. That'll be it from me this time, so I bid you all a good rest of your day. Farewell.